So today we're going to be going over 10 fragrances that will make you unforgettable. They will leave an everlasting impression on someone in the best way possible. First impressions are everything. I mean, that is probably how someone is going to judge you for the rest of the time that they know you, especially if it's a brief interaction. That's all they have to go off of, right? If you meet someone in passing and you come across kind of rude, well, unless you're able to meet them again and kind of show that, you know, you're not rude, that's probably what they're going to think of you. And so the same thing comes with your fragrance, with your sense of style, with your accessories, with the car you drive, the watch you wear. All of those things can really help to kind of, you know, place yourself in that person's mind in a more positive note, and also it'll just make you more memorable. I'm not saying you need to go out and buy the nicest car, have the nicest watch, spend the most money on clothes. You can achieve this very easily with a fragrance, and you don't need to spend a lot of money on that scent either. We've got 10 fragrances, one niche, the rest designer. Always like to include a wide range here, and within this list you'll find everything from spring, summer, fall, winter. So we have all of our bases covered. You'll note a lot of these are going to be more all seasonal appropriate anyway, so very versatile stuff here, but we do have a couple outliers. I will link all of these down below to discounters so you can pick them up at a price below retail. Let's make some good first impressions here. Let's kind of ingrain ourselves into the minds of people around us. And we're going to do that with something like Mr. Burberry Eau de Parfum. Sounds basic, sounds forgettable, right? And when I picked this one up initially, I thought that's how it was going to be. But then I started testing it, and I'm like, wait a minute, you know, there's something going on here, more than it may lead on to be. Patchouli, cardamom, mint, sandalwood, I believe are some of the main notes. Well, actually, it says it on the side. Yeah, cinnamon. Oh, so it's cinnamon. Maybe there is sandalwood too, but, you know, there's lavender, patchouli, vanilla, everything I just said, vetiver as well. It's nice, woody, warm, spicy, but also semi-fresh scent. It is a nice eau de parfum flanker here. You know, it's not overly boring or overly generic. There are bits and pieces of kind of mainstream mass appeal in here, but there is also a turn in a different direction. It's giving you a little bit more than you would typically get from a fragrance line like this. So while it may not 100% blow you away, that's not really the goal. Remember, our goal is to leave a positive, lasting impression on someone. And if you're wearing the most unique oud fragrance ever, they may not have a positive outlook on you. They may be thinking that you could benefit from a shower or some deodorant. It's not what we want. So having something that kind of strikes the balance of being fresh and mass-pleasing and generic, but also having a little bit of a different twist that makes it memorable, it's kind of what we're after. Let's go right here next. Mankind Hero by Kenneth Cole. One you don't really see every day. One that I wasn't really expecting to enjoy as much as I am. Lemon, lavender, vanilla, and my favorite note, mountain air are some of the main notes here. So, mountain air, what could that possibly smell like? I don't know. Presumably, it would give it this kind of fresh, ozonic, airy, wispy freshness, basically. And you do pick up on something like that. So yeah, I guess I do smell the mountain air. But it has a nice sweetness here from the vanilla. This is another one that is, you know, it's fresh and sweet, right? That is the definition of this one, fresh and sweet. And you can't really get past that. And why that combination works so well is for a couple of reasons. One of which being that it kind of appeals to a couple different crowds. Some people out there only like fresh scents. Some people only like sweet scents. If you can make it a bit of both, you're winning over two groups, at least somewhat. And the other reason is they just tend to have more of a memorable smell to them. You know, you have something that is super, super fresh, and oh, you smell great, but maybe you smell like laundry detergent or just fresh out of the shower, which isn't, you know, that's the bare minimum of what people should smell like, is you should smell like you just took a shower, because you should be showering regularly, right? So that's nothing that's too crazy. And when it comes to sweet fragrances, you know, you get into the more daring side there. So kind of having something that bridges that gap always works really well. Another example of that somewhat is ROCHAS L'Homme. Blood orange, juniper berries, and pineapple are some of the main notes. Love the bottle on this one. High quality, has some heft to it, looks great. So what this one does is it has a little bit of like a, you know, aromatic freshness going on here. It kind of smells a little bit like Dolce & Gabbana K, although much more well done in my opinion. You know, it's more than, you know, Dolce & Gabbana K kind of has this, I don't know, this generic smell to it that kind of takes over the kind of uniqueness that it has. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. That was just a complete cluster there of what I was trying to explain. But that's kind of how it is. And if you've smelled that one, you'll know what I mean. Basically, Dolce & Gabbana K smells like it's trying to do something different, but it also still has this overwhelming kind of typical smell about it. This one plays off of that, but it's much more gentlemanly. There's more depth. There's more richness going on in here. And I like this one. I mean, it's no comparison. If I had to take Dolce & Gabbana K, EDT, or EDP, or this one, it would be this one without even thinking about it. And I also find myself gravitating towards this one because of its sheer wearability. And again, it separates itself from a lot of other things out there. Yes, I'm comparing it to K, but it still does its own thing also. It's a big head turner. Most people aren't going to be gravitating towards this one in you know, the real world. They're going to be going for other types of kind of blue fragrances, so to speak. But this one will definitely set you apart, and people are going to remember. Let's go over to a basically summertime scent all the way. This one is Le Male on board. So they have a few that will do this. Ultramale, Le Male Le Parfum. At one point, Popeye would have fit into this spot as well. And maybe a couple others. Of course, you know, at one point, very early on, the original Le Male. That's long gone now. But this is kind of one that I wanted to throw in because I do think it's very well done. It's very likable, very easy to pull off. It's got geranium, tonka bean, bergamot. So it has that fresh and sweet thing down to a T. It's basically pen and paper here. It's kind of bright, minty, and aromatic from the geranium. It's also bright from the bergamot, but it has a powdery sweetness, a little bit of a dustiness from the tonka bean. So, you know, summer fragrance for me. Now, some people would find this to be too sweet for summer, so you're going to have to make your decision there. I kind of like a sweeter fragrance in the summertime sometimes. Even though it sweetens up more when it's hot outside, it's kind of a change of pace for me. And it does get more bubblegummy and playful in the high heat, which I also like because if I am after that, then I'm going to do it right and I'm going to go for it. If I don't want bubblegummy and playful, I could choose something else. So it depends on what you're after. Younger guys out there are going to love this one. And if you pick this one up and you wore it throughout your summertime, I would bet that you would make a lot of great memories with this one. Okay, let's go to this pathetic looking little bottle next. It's Invictus Intense. Yeah, look at that guy. So I picked this one up for a buying guide and I figured, you know what, might as well try to save some money and not get the 100 ml. And then I got it in and I was like, maybe I should have gotten the 100 ml because I actually like this one. Whiskey, amber, ambergris, sea salt, orange blossom. So yeah, you heard that right. It has a little bit of a boozy accord in here. Now it's not over the top. It gives a little bit of a brightness when you first spray it on. But I find that this one is less bubblegummy and less aquatic, and it's more ambery and kind of dense and rich. Still Invictus. I don't like it as much as Invictus Victory. This would probably come in at number 2 for me. But that being said, number 2 is really a solid point here. You know, of course, there's Invictus Aqua, which I'm not going to count anymore because the 2016's gone and I don't care for the 2018 anyway. So yeah, number 2 favorite Invictus fragrance right here, Invictus Intense. It is memorable. You know, even probably still the original Invictus would be somewhat memorable for people. It's so strong, so playful, so modern that if you wore that and someone really liked it, they would probably remember that and associate you with that smell. But that's not how we roll on this channel. We're trying to make this video a little bit more different here and out of the ordinary for you. And so, Invictus Intense it is. All right, let's go to this one, Perry Ellis Aqua Extreme, one that I've really been getting a kick out of lately. And I mean that in like a good way. Lavender, geranium, tobacco leaf, and juniper are some of the main notes. Almost had it there. So that probably took you off guard. You know, you see Aqua Extreme, you see dark blue bottle, and then I'm listing off notes like that. Yeah, it took me off guard too. That being said, I really like it. It's kind of a fresh aquatic marine scent, but surprisingly for a gentleman. You know, it is a Perry Ellis. A lot of people will associate this brand and these fragrances for younger guys out there, but this one does have kind of a richness going on that you may not initially expect, but when you smell it, it hits you and you're like, wow, this is pleasant. And it is. I thoroughly enjoy this one. Big fan of it. It's affordable. It's a good performer. What is this anyway? Is this an EDP? I want to say it is. Oh, it's an EDT, but it is still a good performer. You know, if they would focus on things like this a bit more, bring out some flankers of this, amp it up, make an EDP, make a parfum, tweak it a little bit, they could be onto something. I hope they stick to things like this, which does kind of come out of the ordinary a little bit. Alrighty, let's go to 1 Million Lucky by PACO RABANNE. Plum, honey, hazelnut, and ozonic notes are some of the main notes. Quite an interesting note breakdown. This one has always kind of stumped me a little bit because, you know, it is different. At first I was like, I'm not too sure about it. Then I smelled it more. I realized that it does what it's set out to do very well, and that is to be likable, a good performer, a great compliment getter. And once I got all that together and I had smelled it more and I put, you know, kind of a dent in it a little bit, I was like, okay, you know what? I do like it. And also, when they discontinued 1 Million Privé, which was hands down my favorite, I had to lean on something else. The Parfum isn't one of my absolute favorites. The original is just one that I don't gravitate towards anymore. So ultimately, I've kind of fallen back on Lucky if I am after I don't know, kind of a 1 Million fragrance. Even though this one is quite different than the original. It's fruity from the plum. It has a little bit of a sweetness from the honey, this like nutty undertone. And then what wraps it all up is this ozonic freshness. So it's all over the board, but guess what it is? Fresh and sweet. It works like crazy. Let's go to this very flashy bottle. Dolce & Gabbana The One, Eau de Parfum Intense, gold. Gotta love it, right? Except for when you get it in that lighting and you just see fingerprints upon fingerprints. But when you look at it like this, it looks right. It looks nice, right? Almost looks black on the camera here. And then, fingerprints galore. Yeah, that's the problem with this one. In real life, when you're not standing in front of two incredibly bright lights, you really can't notice. But when you get it on camera, it shows up. Blood orange, clary sage, and cardamom are a couple of the notes here. There's a bit more going on. So it's a little bit more bright and fresh and creamy compared to Dolce & Gabbana The One EDP Intense, the black bottle one. And that one also has more cashmere. And take your pick. I like them both a lot, actually. Really do. This one I was a little bit tougher on, I believe, when I first got it. But I've come around to it a lot. The aromatics in here smells great, a little bit herbaceous. That blood orange smells amazing up top. Kind of has this fun, playful, summertime edge about it. Even though it's not full-on summer fragrance, there's depth and richness going on as well. It's one that I found myself gravitating more towards more and more, and it's one that I do really enjoy. So what's nice about this one is it will set you apart. It'll have you smelling different than, you know, some other things out there. Maybe the one EDP would be a choice you wouldn't go for because it is popular these days. So this is kind of one that is still within the line and is quite a bit different than that. In fact, very different than that, other than both sharing like cardamom. So, you know, it's one that you can still stay within that line and get something that is kind of a refreshing, uplifting, and modern scent. Second to last fragrance, we have that niche one here. Knock this out. This is Parfums de Marly Carlisle. You know, I couldn't help myself. Had to throw this one in. Absolutely love it. Nutmeg, patchouli, tonka, and vanilla are some of the main notes here. Absolute stunner. This is going to be for the fragrance enthusiast and the fragrance enthusiast only. For the most part. Maybe there are some outliers out there who are brand new to fragrances and they were to pick this up and smell it for the first time and fall in love with it. I'm sure that's possible, but I don't think that's going to be that common. And that's kind of niche fragrances in general. We're not looking at an oud fragrance here or anything that's too out of the ordinary. It's still, for what it is, a good compliment getter, just not quite as high as some of the others. And we're going to finish it with a more affordable one, Gentleman Eau de Parfum Boisee by Givenchy. Iris, sandalwood, cacao, woody notes are some of the main notes. Love this one. Silky, smooth, and creamy. A little bit more fresh compared to the EDP, the original EDP, but also not nearly as fresh as the EDT or the EDT Intense, kind of in the middle ground there. If the EDP Reserve Privé, too sweet, and again, the EDT Intense, and Cologne, too fresh. This literally is your middle ground. This would be your saving grace. And it's a great compliment getter, great performer. One of my favorites. I have a lot of love for the whole line. I think all of them are great, but this one here is a nice kind of mid-range spring and fall time scent. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. That is 10 fragrances that will make you unforgettable. Wear these, check these out if you're trying to leave a lasting impression on someone. Links to these will be down below so you can pick them up and check them out. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.